Hi, I'm Master Peter Brusso, and we're working on the infographic section number 9, which is first aid. And first aid should always be a part of your self-defense plan. Now, simply, you can learn the 3 Bs, supposedly the bleeding, breathing, pulse, like most I'm an EMT, so understand a bit about that. But basically, if you are injured, you need to know how to treat that injury. If after all the attacks are done and there are people that are down, then whether it's a mass mugging or mass beat up or whatever the heck these animals do these days, and you defend yourself with injury level type of response, they may be down. And it is now, since the aggression has stopped, up to you to provide medical aid until the right authorities get there if you're capable of doing that. Now, out here in California, it gets terribly litigious about stuff like that. But from the sake of at least boiling it down to you, if you get injured, how to take care of yourself and survive that. So clearly, bleeding is number one. If they're bleeding out an artery or terribly bleeding someplace else, compression, keep pressure on it. If it's abdominal bleeding, keep pressure on it, but they're still going to bleed internally, but they won't bleed out, onto the ground, type thing. If it is then breathing, if they're not breathing, really doesn't matter how much pressure you're putting on everything else. You've got to clear the airway. Maybe you have to start CPR. CPR these days don't deal with ventilation. In my days, they did. You had to ventilate somebody. Disgusting, but necessary. And then pulse. After all of that, do they have a pulse? So stop the bleeding, make sure they're breathing, and do they have a pulse? Those are the 3 big things you've got to deal with. There are online classes for just basic first aid. How to do bandages, how to do this, although it probably is not in the scope of your self-defense plan, but you might need to do that. You can cut up shirts or things like that. Might even have a small medical bag that you carry with you with some bandages, type of an approach. But first aid is important. So if you can just take, and like I say, there's a lot of first aid classes for free online. Doesn't take very long to go through them, but it's a good thing to know, both for you and your family in case they get injured as well. So that's section number 9, your first aid skills you must have to survive a violent attack and have it all in your self-defense plan. I'm Master Peter Brusso, and I will see you in the real world or on the mat, perhaps.
Keep a distance right before you advance. That's sensei. Keep in control, you got